Hey, what's up, man?
Yo, what up, man?
How are you, dude?
I'm great, man. Long awaited.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice shirt.
Definitely. Thank you. It's one of my
Class.
faves.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was just that year was the only year I ever had them. So that's like a moment in time.
Yeah, my wife and I often have to fight over who's getting to wear it that day. So,
You guys were both great then.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. So, Ryan, Spose,
Either one,
both.
interchangeable.
Yeah, interchangeable. Very awesome. I've been wanting to do this for a long time, man. And I'll be honest, the concept has kind of been this get rich or die Ryan concept. So this is perfect timing for this
Nice, man. Yeah, I'm
conversation.
glad we're finally connecting and
Yeah.
yeah, I'm stoked, man.
Yeah, I knew it was going to be the right time whenever it happened. I just got to keep bugging you because it's on my list of things to do forever.
I'm so terrible. I like
No,
doing
man.
stuff. I like committed. Like I just especially with like COVID times, I got so good at doing no obligations whatsoever.
Yeah,
I was
it's
like,
all
oh, this is
COVID's fault.
the best. Yeah, but no, man. Yeah, I'm back now. I'm back doing stuff, so I'm happy to connect with you now.
Well, it's funny because you're always doing stuff and then you're putting out a double album, which is like, dude, I mean that shows how much stuff you're doing all the time. I mean, there's like,
Yeah, yeah, definitely a lot of time spent on that. But I mean, yeah, I can't do a day where I'm not like working on stuff.
mhm.
Even if it's I don't know, like I've been working on like I'm gonna get our basement finished. Like that. I can't just sit around basically. So it's like I gotta do something. So
Oh, same, man, same. I'm actively looking for something to do to stay active. Even and right now, I'm actually in a quarantine, and the house is covered in lead. We're putting lead cover over the house. I mean, it's old paint,
wow,
so
sure,
it's
yeah.
like, dude, we're stuck here. We're
So you're out in this mountain valley.
this is yeah, the lake behind me here.
Great,
Um,
great view. Yeah,
yeah, I just behind this beautiful valley here is my messy bedroom. So,
nice. Yeah, I love a good bedroom in a valley.
mhm,
Yeah, I like that.
just
Congrats.
down that crescent. Uh, do you ever watch Alone?
Never seen it.
Oh man, I there's contestants go out and they just isolate themselves out in the middle of like British Columbia.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I've seen that. I know what you mean.
Mm,
Yeah, it's like, but I've seen it as like maybe I've seen clips of it, but I've definitely seen like Bear Grylls get dropped in the middle of nowhere and have to like walk his way out. But
yeah. Yeah, I just think that level of isolation is so fascinating to see the breakdown. I mean, on top of just starvation and stuff, to see people go from like, I got this, it's $1 million to like, I just miss my family. This nothing is worth this.
yeah, I bet it's a good study in humanity. Well, you figure like I always think, like Afghanistan, all the people trying to get out of Afghanistan.
Mm,
And how I'm sure their life was one thing. I can't estimate what their life was like a month ago, as like US troops are starting to pull out anyways. But what is it? What is your life? Your life becomes like food, water, survival, get me on a flight. I'll like climbing over shit with my family. I'll hang to an airplane wing. I'll do whatever. And it's just crazy because humanity, the only reason we're all like I was thinking the other day, the only reason we're all so divided as a country is because we have time to be.
yeah,
Like if we
that's
were
so
so
true.
busy surviving that we were hunting, had to hunt our dinner every day and like whatever, we wouldn't have time to have beef with each other.
Yeah, if we were being hunted by each other, you know what I mean?
Sure,
That's
yeah.
another thing. Because if
Yeah.
you're being hunted by a bear, okay, you can probably outsmart a bear if you're trained properly. But
Yeah.
humans are constantly getting
Humans
the
are
up.
like evil cyborgs. Yeah, they don't stop.
Hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's man, what an insane thing to observe from the outside, just to feel helpless about. Another thing to feel helpless about is this whole Afghanistan tragedy.
Yeah, my mom always pointed out to me as a teenager that like I cared way too much and it would like
Mm,
affect me. Like, like 9/11 was like, obviously we're coming up on the anniversary like 2 days or whatever, but like, I was like 15, I think, 16 maybe, and that like fucked me up. It was like,
mhm.
I really cared. I really like couldn't stop watching it. I could days later and weeks later and like, and just like people suffering everywhere. I really had to, as an adult, almost like accept that, like, look, worldwide suffering, starvation, poverty, rape, murder, everything is going to happen every day on earth. And that's just a fact of our existence. And there's, in a way, nothing I can do about it. And once you can kind of accept, in some cases, there's nothing I can do about this right now. That's the way you like get through it.
Yeah, I kind of set my bar at whatever is within arm's reach of me is sort of controllable. Everything else beyond that is
Yeah.
just,
I like
yeah.
that. Yeah. Yeah.
But but yeah, I mean, you've always sort of, well, I wouldn't say always. Recently, within the last like 3 albums, you've really put a voice to more of your political views. I mean, yeah, of course, you've always sort of sprinkled in what your environment consists of, but really sort of putting a personal touch on how you might feel about something has really sort of evolved in the last 3 albums. And
Are we podcasting right now?
yes. Well, I
Okay.
mean,
All
we're
right.
just
All right.
we're
Go
just
ahead.
recording. We're
Yeah.
just
Yeah. Yeah. Go
recording.
ahead.
It's not live though.
Okay.
So
Sure.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But I think it's great for somebody like you who cares that much to actually use your voice, especially when you have the kind of fans you have that listen, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I mean, I've always struggled with it, honestly, trying to find like how much to say and how to say it in a way, because it's like you can make a song listing all the depressing realities of Earth, and I've done it before, maybe on a song
mhm.
like "Why Am I So Happy," the title track or something like that. But like even that was in the perspective of here's all the miserable things on Earth. I should feel good about my life, you
Mhm.
know, is the message of that. But like as far as my politics or what to say about like what I know about world politics or geography or whatever, I always have struggled to find the how much of that is acceptable and where can I sprinkle it in, and especially in making this double album, it was in one of the most like divisive political times I can ever imagine, and so I'll be honest with you, I kind of avoided it in the music because I wanted the music to serve as an escape from that. However, because it's so omnipresent, it's so inescapably like everywhere you go, bumper stickers, streets, yard signs, Facebook, Twitter, whatever. And so I really wanted the music to be an escape from that, but it's impossible to separate reality from in emotion and whatever from politics, because I'm in a society created by it, and I'm in a history created by like the decisions of men and the decisions of white people and the decisions of generations before me. So I that shit is on the album, I'm not really talking about Black Lives Matter, I'm not really talking about Trump, I'm not really talking about neo Nazis. I'm not talking about any of this shit. Masks. I'm not talking about vaccinations. I'm not talking about any of this shit. But I am talking about the overarching underlying issues, of my existence, which by default are political. So
Yeah.
like I exist because of political decisions that have happened before me, and my life is shaped by them. And so, I address the concept of dudes. I have a song on there
Mhm.
called Dudes about us, about, you know, kind of, I don't know. Oh, hang on, it's pouring out. I got to let my dog in.
Okay.
Dudes, that's what I was on. Remind me in a second.
Okay.
Ollie. All right, sorry, dog is saved.
He's like, thank God you heard
Yeah,
me,
yeah.
man.
She's like, oh, Jesus, asshole, lets me out the pouring. Um, And so, yeah, just the concept of dudes and the concept of being an American dude. What does that mean? Like what strings are attached to that? And then kind of, and just like, and then within being a dude, like, what bullshit have I done to try to like make myself feel good about myself, or, and just all that concept I struggle with, that we all struggle with, I guess, once you kind of realize that, like, especially for me, like kind of growing up, playing with GI Joes and like, you know, saying the Pledge of Allegiance in class and like
Mm.
looking at like dudes like looking at like Brad Pitt and being like, all right, so I'm gonna need muscles. I'm gonna need, like just like the checklist of how you watching WWF, growing up and watching football and basketball and just like, oh, this is who you're supposed to be a dude, and just that. And so I really wanted to address all that. And so I'm sorry, it's like a tangent, but like, yeah,
No.
it's a good question. And I don't exactly know intentionally what I've done with my politics over the last few albums, but as far as this new album, I wanted to address the universal things rather than the specific, fuck an anti-vaxxer, the pasture. I'm not trying to do any of that. So it's like, and I feel like this stuff is almost like you can, regardless what side of the political spectrum you're on, in a way, we could kind of all agree about this shit, that this is
Hmm.
relatively fucking true. It's like, so.
Yeah. Yeah, it's such a recognizing the division, it's almost hard not to take it personal because it's like, man, you're hating on me, but I don't necessarily feel that way because I like a certain, political sect or hang out with certain people. I mean, my mind is open as, especially in a human way, looking around and seeing how we all suffer equally in different ways. Um, I think that's one thing that's always really kind of tied me just to not putting a blanket judgment over everybody. It's just
Sure.
recognizing, this guy's struggles may be completely different, but also, you know,
It's
I think
hard though. It's hard because we're all subject to like constant, basically like borderline robotic, like manipulation at the hands of like the social media things and the TV, even the TV
mm,
news, what the TV news showed us, or even if you're a black kid born in the game, in the big America game, 40, 50 years ago, you might never see anybody ever represented in politics, in law, in TV, in entertainment, succeeding, except with some white man maybe like profiting off that. So it's like, the I forget why I was going to this tangent, but you were talking about what were we saying? But regardless, that yeah, the human experience is very different. But I wanted to be very conscious of my specific one, also, and just like try to show that I am also like subject to manipulation, and like I am not perfect, and I don't have all the answers, and like I bet if we got in an argument, whatever, we end up probably agreeing about something, in the end. And so yeah, I think that was my big thing, was just like avoiding, as much as I am basically like a leftist, like I wouldn't say I'm like a Democrat or like a liberal even, maybe, although I definitely am very liberal, like with like I think people should have liberties,
mhm,
but like
yeah,
I'm borderline like a leftist, but you go far enough in one direction and there's a lot of similarities and like whatever. So yeah, I just sometimes I'll make songs that are like that just for myself to like get out an emotion,
mhm.
because I'm just like lost in the music all the time, that like it's really like my therapy too, some stuff I don't put out or whatever.
That's kind of what I was wondering too, is a lot of times, I mean, music is designed to manipulate you, and a lot of times it's an escapism. But in a huge way, a lot of the content that we receive, especially from the people that we admire, if it comes to us in a wholesome way, where it's whether or not you're on one side or the other, you're just saying, look, this is how it's affected me. Um, that's admirable to be able to actually speak that way and not pick a side and just let it out there, because people are going to pick it apart, now and 10 years from now and whatever, even though your mind's going to change, whatever it is. So I think it's cool to get it out, but writing it, I always wonder, is it as cathartic as listening to it? Because I mean, you may not be thinking about, for instance, like you mentioned, "Why Am I So Happy Now?" I mean, there's a lot in there that will take you away. The rest of that album, you're feeling pretty good, and then
Yeah,
that
yeah,
one,
yeah.
yeah, if you're paying attention, that one could bring you to tears. I mean, there's a lot of heartache in that song. And
Yeah, and I feel it, man. Well, that's what I'm
hmm,
saying. That's what I was saying earlier about like I really feel the stuff. I feel the and I feel also like the helplessness of like what can I do? Like
hmm.
like Bono. Hang on, cat's attacking the dog.
I heard that
Um,
it went down.
yeah, like for example, like Bono or Jay-Z, and these people like stand up for causes, and maybe they're actually able to move the needle, but even they can't fix any of this shit. So
Hmm.
it's like there's a little bit of futility to it. So for me, like making the music and talking about it and getting it out is cathartic, almost as a way to deal with the helplessness. It's like, all right, I can at least get this out of me, so I'm not burdened by it, walking around Earth interacting with people. But
Hmm. Does it ever burden you having to, like, if something like that catches, having to perform it all the time? Not bothered. I mean, I know it doesn't bother you because I know you love to entertain, but is there a point where you're like, man, I really don't want to channel this now, but I do want.
well, I feel like at least for me, man, I've been super fortunate that like the fan base is pretty receptive to whatever I'm trying to do. Like I've
Yeah,
never had anybody come up to me after a show and be like,
it was
can't
going good
believe
till then.
can't believe you did this one. You didn't do these. Like, what is wrong? And it's like, uh,
Yeah.
yeah, no. I mean, I pretty much stand behind most of it because at the end of the day, I'm just like a more informed. And also, I don't have to be like I can channel Spose from like 2008, 2011, 2013 if I'm on stage because I'm essentially playing a character. I'm playing like, here's that movie I put out then. Like, let me do a version of it.
Mhm.
I could do that anytime. And I have a big enough catalog, I could be selective. Like, if there is stuff that I really do feel like, I don't like that one, I'm not saying that anymore. I'm not gonna, perform it or whatever. But like, there's very few because I stand by most of it because, it's not like Spose at the end of the day is this like defined version of me now who is exactly the same as who I was 12 years ago. I'm going to be a different person in 5 years, and so in my eyes, like the music can always change because I can always change, and then if I want to revisit a feeling or an emotion from the past, I could definitely go, dig that up. But as far as like what I put out versus what I make, there's definitely like a little bit of like marketing advertising to it as like, how will people react to this?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I love it. I mean, there is a lot of that stuff, and there's so many great little one-liners that are just, if you stop and pick them apart, you're like, oh, that was dirty. But you've never stopped and just focused on any one thing. Like you're just this casual throw it out there, and it may be disgusting, it may be impactful, it may be just hilarious. And yeah,
I
goddamn,
think
dude.
that's a part of the problem with me though, as like an artist, why it doesn't really like why I've almost been like stagnant at the same fans forever is because it's really difficult to like explain me, I think. Or I couldn't even do it really like and encapsulate it because you just spent like 7 words, describing all the possible emotions you could get from like a Spose song or whatever. So it's not just funny or it's not just whatever.
Mhm.
And I have no desire to just ever be just one thing because in
Yeah.
reality, who is? Like even like every time I meet like a dead serious like rapper, he's hilarious. He's
Yeah.
like so funny, cracking jokes, and like, where's that in the music? I always wonder like, where's that in the music? Or every time I meet a joke rap, or not a joke rapper, but like a rapper who people think of as like fun and happy and outgoing, they're all dead serious.
Hmm.
They're all like, yeah, man, how's it going? They're
Yeah.
like, it's so it's. I always want to try to balance the whatever to be, it is heartbreaking and it is hilarious and it's all of that at once.
Exactly. Yeah, life's a comedy and tragedy.
That's what, yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, maybe you've heard it, but I just said that on fucking Hey Big Guy.
Mhm. And I was gonna say on Hey Big Guy, you sort of alluded to the dudes being a problem as well in that one, so there's little callbacks and that kind of keep you in focus in some of your work as
Yeah,
well.
actually, on Hey Big Guy at the end, yeah, great ear catching that. On the album, Hey Big Guy is towards the end of disc one, so it's really that song and Shining, the last song on disc one, which Shining's not out yet, but those two songs are basically the conclusion of the story of disc one.
Hmm.
Even though it's all one whole story, disc one and disc two, but like Hey Big Guy and Shining are the conclusion of kind of the themes I've brought up all throughout disc one, which is dudes, which is world, America, which is
Mm.
all these things. Like, what is a dude in America?
The ego, basically,
Yeah,
right?
and how do you fight it, and how can you basically self-medicate, self-treat yourself,
Mm.
and not expect society to all change, like, because that's too grand, in my eyes. So it's like you can change
Definitely.
within, basically. And so in that song, in Hey Big Guy, I go, it's World War blues for dudes since the beginning. We're all self-conscious. I'm not the first to admit it, which is a Kanye West line. But
Mm.
I changed it a little bit, but there's a song called World War Blues, and then there's a song called Dudes, because these are two, of the grand. When you zoom out, you zoom in, the album could start, imagine it zoomed in on me as a boy,
Hmm.
and it slowly zooms out all the way to see world America's effect on world politics, and a little boy maybe in like Iraq, and then zoom all the way back in, and you see it's, basically me, about me and my son, and Hey Big Guy, and that type of
Hmm.
shit. So,
Yeah. Very cool. I love you've so much space to work with, that many songs, 20 plus songs, being able to really break it up like that. It's a very cool thing. Are you ever gonna try to put any of this stuff on vinyl? Something this big?
yeah, I do it kind of piece by piece. I did Preposterously Dank on like red vinyl, and I
Hmm.
have the Audacity up on my website as green vinyl. But yeah, I'd love to keep making my way through the catalog. I think I'm going to do Peter Sparker and Good Luck with Your Life next, and then
Dude, do a Spose box set. You got
oh,
now you have the
don't
catalog
tempt
for a
me. Don't tempt me. Yeah, I've been thinking about it. Well, because to make a double album, I mean, I'm sure most people who've ever made a double album could tell you this. To make a double album's worth of songs, you essentially have to make a triple album. You
yeah,
essentially have to make more
whittle it
songs than
down.
that,
Mm.
and so that's why, like, the Smashing Pumpkins is, my favorite band, and they had, when they did the double album right after, they did a box set of 5 of the singles, and each single had 4 extra songs on it that weren't on the album. And so I really fantasize about doing that, doing a, like, I just put out Hypocrite Hey Big Guy, so that would be one of them, Hypocrite Hey Big Guy, and like 2 extra songs, and then, do a little, I envision it being wooden, the
Yeah,
box set,
yeah,
but yeah, yeah, I'm thinking about it.
that's very cool. That's a good concept. Um, so I've one of the things that keeps me away from getting too anxious about not getting my own clout or whatever it may be to sort of accelerate my process here is the imagery from We All Got Lost. And of course, Pinecone Pete is not impressed. My kids love it.
Oh man, thank
So
you.
yeah, dude. I mean, they love it. So
Well, thanks for
we
getting
wore
that.
the yeah, I actually bought 2 copies. They broke because they broke the first one down, man. Like just wore it out.
That's great. Yeah, we did that in my house too. So yeah, that's awesome, man.
I was like, all right,
But
we got to get a.
yeah, that artwork, that was therapeutic for me. I imagine if you listen to the album We All Got Lost,
Hmm.
you know, I imagine you could tell it's personal,
Definitely,
shit,
definitely.
like, and a lot of it deals with, like, yeah, as I think about it, like Preposterously Dank, there's a lot about Preposterously Dank, the first album, and We All Got Lost, and the new album, that are, it's, it's like different episodes of the same, life story, basically. But
Hmm.
Preposterously Dank is like told from the perspective of like somebody literally in their early 20s, in the the act, like playing it all, almost oblivious to it, that I'm in the game, and when
Yeah.
I'm fighting all the things that I eventually am able to, articulate and address on later albums, but I'm just right in the midst of it. I'm trying to be cool. I'm trying to, like, boost my self confidence with this, like, rap superhero I've created, and like, basically, and then We All Got Lost, it's almost like reflecting on that character years later, like, fuck this shit, I'm going home in the middle of the city, but I'm all alone,
Hmm.
and then, hey, let's go down the rabbit hole, is kind of about me and my friends doing drugs in our teenage, like, early 20s, and just like getting lost. And I literally, my high school girlfriend died because she never got out of the quote unquote rabbit hole.
Mm.
It was, and it's not to say she was a hardcore drug addict whatsoever. Like she just like had some bad, I'm sure it was fentanyl or something
Yep.
in some drug she was doing at a Fish concert,
Mm.
you know, like just to go, you know. And so it's just to say, you know, that album is really kind of taking a step back and being like, okay, what's going on here? What's going
Yeah.
on Preposterously Dank? What is that guy going through, and what does he have wrong? Like, what is the path he's doing that's like leading to his, sadness, or his, underlying like need to to look cool and like whatever. And so, and then, we all got lost. Obviously, just the big payoff and the theme of that is Suicide Doors, Mountaintop. We all got lost.
Mm.
Which I'm the only idiot who puts maybe the three best songs on an album at the very end in the
Wherever they
streaming
fall, man.
era.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the fans find them wherever I put them. The real ones.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
sometimes I wonder if I fuck up the whole thing by burying those for movie sequence, purposes. But the payoff, and maybe this is what's helped you, because it's definitely helped me, is just recognizing that like Jay-Z, Kanye West, Bono, these people all have stress, anxiety, and
Hmm.
all these things that everybody else is going through. So there's no solution at the top of the mountain.
Yeah. Just all
So
trying to keep it afloat, you know?
we all got lost. We all
Hmm.
fucking got lost out here, and there's camaraderie in that, and there's acceptance in that you don't have to be perfect, and you don't have to solve everything by the time you're 30 or 25 or whatever. There's nothing to solve, except that like today is the gift.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm 36 and I feel like I don't have anything solved really. I mean, I'm working towards getting it solved, you know?
I am 36 too, man, and I feel the
Yeah.
exact same way. I have no fucking clue.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, I'm trying to raise kids as well, and I'm trying to give them the wisdom that I have, but I'm also telling them, like, hey, this is just up till now wisdom. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
we
this is
grew
all
up
I got. This
together.
is all I've seen so far. Yeah. No,
Yeah,
I'm
I could
with
be
you, man.
totally wrong, you guys, but look, I'm just trying to keep you out of trouble now, you know?
Yeah.
So like if you figure out a better way, the goal is just to stay out of trouble and stay smart, you know? Work towards something better.
Yeah,
So,
man. Yeah, and like I said, man, I don't have it figured out. I really don't. And it's like
mhm.
sometimes I go through like moments where it's clear, moments of clarity, I guess, and sometimes those are crystallized in like songs, or just like a change in my lifestyle. Like it's something I never really talk about on music, but that is like an epiphany I had, was that eating healthy and actually like putting in effort to physically like work out helps all my other things.
Mm,
Not even
yeah.
like trying to work out to be like a fitness model. Like I'm just trying to work out to feel accomplished, to help my body stay strong and to help my mind work better, and so
Yeah.
that type of shit I don't really talk about in the music, but like life's just those little epiphany moments where you figure shit out a little bit,
Yeah.
and you keep plugging.
Because it's that's not everything is for everybody, you know? And like that's one of those things. I mean, how are you going to break down every half hour to hour of your day and try to explain that in your music? You know what I mean? It's just no
Yeah.
point. So,
Yeah, no, it's just, yeah, exactly. And I think just trying to be, just trying to be at peace and as often as I can, and so, I
mhm.
definitely, obviously, I try to put that in the music, but the music is just at the end of the day a reflection of where I'm at that day, or a moment I might have felt before, or
Yeah, yeah. I I think it's interesting trying to raise kids right now, and like the expectations that are on kids, and especially like in the education system, like the curve that they're being thrown right now. But I think it's interesting that, I mean, for me personally, my parents tried to raise me with religion. And I think, that sort of maybe aided them and sort of gave them answers, like where they felt like this is
hmm,
clear and defined and this is age old wisdom, you know? And
sure,
so we on our own are trying to give them a religious base of like humanity and like, the golden rule, essentially pass that on to them. But at the same time, I feel like the biggest place that I fail them is education, just by how like rapid that system has moved forward, you know, to where like on my 12-year-old is sort of being advanced through a grade, even though she's not doing good. They're just like letting her go through, and I'm seeing that firsthand, and I'm thinking like the result of that, once people start graduating after being just like slipped through, when like right now more than ever we need like scientists and people to like figure it out, economical, I mean ecological and environmental scientists,
Need them.
yeah, yeah, do
That's the
you.
scariest thing about raising kids for me, man. I'll go. You were gonna say a question. Go ahead.
Oh, well, I was just gonna sort of pivot off of that, like ask, like, do you kind of have those expectations of your own kids? Do you like imagine them filling bigger shoes than you? Or do you just sort of let it go with the flow and
No, I don't. I wouldn't wish like entrepreneurial like rapping on them,
yeah,
But
not necessarily that, but
like no, I mean, like you said, man, I'm just trying to navigate through crazy times anyways as an adult. I
mm,
imagine just being an adult with no kids right now is like difficult anyways.
yeah.
So it's like to have kids, especially during, like you said, basically like the the ecological climate apocalypse.
Yeah,
I hate to
yeah.
say that word,
It's
but like
melting down, dude. I
I
want
feel
them to
like
have a world.
I always thought that, like, learning about climate change and like these things, I always thought like, oh, in 100 years, it might be too hot to go outside, is what I thought. I didn't realize that, like, no, no, no. Even like a 2-degree like temperature change on Earth, which is happening presently, leads to drastic worldwide disaster constantly, and it's only going to accelerate. So I'm happy I live up on kind of on top of like a mountain
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's going down. Clearly, you do too. Looking behind you.
I yeah. This is
But
it.
yeah, I mean, it's survive. I really think it's survival mode out here already. But I that said, I also think you can't like dwell on that like it's almost like outside of my control in my opinion. Like the carbon, footprint has been stomped, and Earth either makes it or it doesn't. And the human experiment goes with it. But
Yeah.
I just don't want, obviously don't want my kids to suffer and don't want my kids to go through too much pain, but my kids live a awesome life on Earth, and they are all very, creative and smart. And I just hope we can push them to, self-confidence.
Mhm. Yeah, it's funny how that all kind of started, going back into just making the music, including it and preposterously dank it is. It's just this confidence booster. And then at some point, it sort of gets in the way of your reality. It becomes like a cognitive distortion in a way. And you realize, like, no, I'm a dad, I'm a husband, like, I got to run this business.
That's what this album's
uh,
about.
yeah.
That's what the whole fucking album's about. Get Rich or Die Trying. It
Hmm.
is literally disc one is Ryan and disc two is Spose. And so I basically, essentially at age 15, created a superhero identity, Spose, who has no flaws and fucks all your moms and, and da 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 and
Hmm.
whatever, and is just eternally confident. And he's walking into the party feeling like he's not only the best rapper here, but the coolest person here. And like literally, it became my real life, the fantasy character. And so at some point, it became so intense that I'm like, basically 100% Spose, even in private sometimes, and then it's like, and then like you're saying, how do you reconcile that with somebody who actually has like struggles with their own like self-confidence or their family or their whatever. And so it's that out the album's really the push pull of both, and like something's got to give,
Hmm.
and what, and then
Because I imagine that's real.
it's
I
real.
mean,
It's all
that's what
real.
I,
It was so easy to
yeah,
write.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Like you said, you became this fantasy character that you wanted to build up, and people recognize you as Spose now, you know.
Totally. And that's why I said they're interchangeable, because really it is. I literally simultaneously am two
Hmm.
characters. But I in the album, I really, and this is why this is why I could do a box set of extra songs, because I don't even have the specific song on there that's about me having a secret identity and being a superhero. I didn't make the album. But like
Yeah.
that's like what it's about, is
Hmm.
that thing. And so and then that becomes problematic, is how do you struggle, and so how do you reconcile it all? So and then you'll hear this song. Actually, the next two songs I'm putting out are the 15th, so 6 days, and it's the first song and the last song on the album. So
Mm,
you'll kind of see where we're going as far as like this is the almost like overture, and then here's the conclusion, and
yeah.
obviously we'll fill in all the blanks, but
Yeah, very cool. I love that. I don't think you've I really like the style of how you put music out and how you tour. I think it's like super family friendly, like it respects your personal life. It allows for you to go out and play tons of places that really want you there, but also you're not stuck far from home for too long. I
yeah, I
also
don't like
love
it.
the
I don't like
yeah.
I don't like the being away for a ton. Like, if I ever got to the level where I could afford to bring my family, I'd probably be out on the road all the time.
Hmm.
I love playing shows when my family's around.
Yeah, Les Claypool does that.
Does he?
Yeah, I remember, seeing him and his whole family is he has his 2 daughters and his wife, and they're all, like, on stage next to him almost every show, and that's a cool
A
life.
lot
It's
of
a cool life.
there's a lot of venues in America that have a smaller room and a bigger room.
Mhm,
For example, there's one in Burlington, Vermont called Higher Ground where I've played the smaller room, which is like 400 cap, maybe 500. I don't know, smaller room. And
mhm.
then there's a room next to it that's like 1,000, some little, maybe like 1,500, 2,000. And so the acts that play there, you'd see like, almost every like touring rock band of the 2010, 2000s is out touring with their families. You always
Mhm.
see it when we play those venues. And so, yeah, just trying to get to that level. Cause if that's the case, it'd be fucking Spose and the Humans. We'd basically be like a jam band on the road all the time,
Yeah.
which is kind of, I would love to do that if I could just have my family around.
Well, the trick is you have to tour 9 months of the year, and then you only have, like, 3 months off, but that 9 months sustains you for however long, you know?
Man, 3 months could sustain, like a month could sustain me. It's like crazy how much money there is in touring, but like,
Yeah, as long as you have the right merch and hit
yeah,
the right places, definitely.
yeah.
Definitely. Also, you've always had some really interesting merch, with the grinders and the light. I mean, like really specific to your fan base, which is really cool. But I didn't want to get stuck on that. Uh, I also, I don't know if I've asked this or if we've even like addressed this specifically, but is fame at this point still like important to you? I know that we've kind of talked
No.
about the being comfortable where you're at, but
Yeah, no, I would say I would like to not be any more famous
hmm,
whatsoever, but I would like
okay.
to be more. I would like to have more people listen to me
Hmm,
and give me money. I would like, that part of it, but I don't desire any more people to know who I am in public whatsoever. I don't think that. I think that's like a shitty byproduct of fame in a
yeah.
way. It's like no once like I don't think there's anybody who's like so famous that they, get recognized everywhere they go. I don't think there's a single person who enjoys that.
Yeah.
Maybe like a mega narcissist of some sort, but
Takes a
like,
lot of Botox to get that worried look off your face, you know?
right. And I would also love to not be the face of the brand, at the end of the day. Like, I'd love to sell, I love doing the music and I always want to do the music, but I like, that's why I try to transition it more to Spose and the Humans, because then it's, it's a band.
Mhm.
It's not like
Mhm.
I have to be the whole face of everything and I need to look cool enough and I need to do this and I need to do that. It's just, the music, and then, yeah, so as a unit, we show up, that type of thing. But
Such a great band.
thanks,
Such
man.
a
Yeah, we
great band,
fucking
dude.
shred. We're practicing
Yeah.
tomorrow. I can't wait. I can't wait to play with the band. That's the big thing I've learned from the pandemic, is I fucking love playing music and seeing the people who make music and hanging out with them and
Yeah.
playing the show and hanging out after the show.
And you've been making music with some of these people since you've been recording, Christina in particular, right? I mean, she's been there since the
Yeah.
beginning.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I think I met Christina through. I think I started recording with Christina in 2011, so about 3 years into the Spose thing, and yeah, she's been with me ever since, and she rocks. I mean, I'll always do stuff with Christina. Christina even just came over and we just had Mexican food with my family. It's like,
Yeah.
so yeah, these are just my friends. And it's like, anytime I make music with someone new, I'm always stoked to add them to my friends. And
Mhm.
but yeah, I mean, the guys. in the band especially are just like legends to me. Like I've bought tickets to see their shows for years before I ever was in a band with them. So
Yeah. Yeah, the rustic overtones,
woo,
amazing.
yeah.
Mallet Brothers. You did your performance with the Mallet Brothers the other day. How was that?
That's great. That was my first. It was a little nerve wracking. I haven't been on stage in like 2 years, but like I don't know how
Mhm.
long it's been, in a real show with a real crowd. So that was awesome. I love playing with them. Yeah, I just stoked to play music, stoked to play guitar a little bit. I, been playing a lot more guitar just because I started out playing guitar. I was playing guitar from the jump, and so
Mhm.
that's actually, spoiler alert. But like the moral of the album of like Get Rich or Die Ryan is that like I'm trying to get closer to who I was before I ever became Spose. Is like that's the key, and trying to be the in a way like more authentic me than ever.
Mhm.
It's like the goal. So, and a big part of that is just like moving closer to, and sometimes hip hop. I mean, the real me definitely fucking loves rap music and like listens to rap music all the time in private without anybody around. So like, and grew up on it and informed by it. But at the end of the day, like the sound of the music I really grew up on in the car with my dad and like my house was like Nirvana and the Smashing Pumpkins and shit. So just I think and Weezer, and just trying to get closer to like the real me musically in addition to just being the real me, authentically in person, you know.
Yeah. That's a good goal, man. It's a
Thanks.
good
I'm
goal.
trying. I'm trying.
And I love one of my favorite things about when you put new stuff out is how you are continually featuring the people from the past albums. Ben's Been Dead and Jake Huron, um, Cam's, dude. I love Cam Groves.
Me too. I
It's
also
such
love
a
Camp Rose.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing I ever heard was We Smoked It All. So that's kind of how I came
Woo!
across. So it was hard for me to separate the two of you for a long. I'm like, what? Is Spose off on his own? Cam's, are they beefing? No, I'm just
Oh,
kidding. I never
that's
thought.
great. Yeah, yeah.
I never
What's
thought.
funny is when Cam wasn't on the track list of the new album, a
Hmm.
bunch of people were like, "What? No Cam? You guys got beef? What's up with you and Cam?" Blah blah blah. And I'm like, "No, no, no, man. Me and Cam just did a whole album at the same time that I was making this.
Yeah,
We just did. We
yeah,
smoked it all for.
yeah,
So no, me and Cam are good. And I mean, Cam's the first person I sent the finished mixed mastered album to be like, "What do you think, Grizz? Like,
yeah,
what do we think of
definitely.
this?" And so yeah.
Yeah, I
Uh,
relate to his style a lot, man. His lyrical content for sure, because I'm in that juggling two sort of lives. Like I will not take my foot out of this life. I love being connected to the musical community, the arts, comedy. I love interacting with this community and sort of piecing it apart. But I also am a manual labor worker. I own my own
oh
painting
wow. So
business.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
Cam's your guy, man. That is
Hmm.
Cam is that guy.
So I'm like, that's my bread and butter, but I'll never give up my passions,
Love it.
So
Yeah,
just keep
Cam
honing them
fucking
in.
rocks, man. I mean, I don't know how I'd do this stuff. Well, you know what? Even I mean, I did make my first two albums while working like 50, 60 hours a week. So I
Yeah.
definitely would still do it, but I definitely wasn't doing manual labor, really
Hmm.
like, waiting tables and selling fish and stuff and working in a hardware store. So um yeah, Cam's a fucking legend. Shane Rise is another
Yeah,
manual
that's
labor
right.
legend.
He's
Who's
in
on
the
the
in the
album? Cam's
construction.
I'm sorry, Shane's on the album. But
Awesome.
yeah, man, yeah, I think for me, man, those are still my homies. I mean, I love to see those people anytime. And so it's
Hmm.
like there's even some songs that didn't make the album that Christina's on or Sarah Violet's on, and all these other people. So yeah, and Jay Karen and Mike B, is on the album. Kind of, he produced like 5 of the beats. Is like these are just my homies, and so I really try to think of you know making the album is almost like it's like our barbecue staff party.
Yeah.
Our excuse to get together.
Dude, yeah. I mean, the album in 24 hours. I mean, I imagine I didn't have to imagine you put out the little doc and it's all work. But still, how fun is that to have the
So
whole
fun.
space to yourself, dude?
It was so
That's
fun. I'm
incredible.
gonna do it again. I already want to do it again
Hell yeah.
because it was
Such a great
so
album.
fun.
Yeah, I mean, who's gonna shadow that album in any judgment? I mean, you had some of the best musicians, producers, backup singers, and then the product of it actually produced something very real and substantial.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, I mean, my big thing going into it was I just wanted to make sure that whatever we made that day. Well, first of all, I wanted to make sure we had fun, which was key.
Mhm.
And I tried to invite all the right people who are good, individual ingredients that I knew would all get together, even if they didn't know each other. Like, I don't think goddamn Chan and Dave Gutter had ever made anything before. And
Mhm.
they made like two of the beats on the album. And then, like, I definitely know, I just knew, I think one of my big skills is like leadership, basically, and understanding people's strengths and putting them in positions to succeed. And so that was like a big example of that. But at the end of the day, all I wanted out of that album was something that could stand up to the rest of my catalog, basically. Like,
That's
it could
awesome.
be right there with them. If you 40 years from now are listening through the Spose catalog, you don't get to Humans and what is this? This doesn't fit. This
Yeah.
sucks compared to that. So yeah, I think we accomplished it.
Yeah, man, and that was really kind of like the first taste of what was to come. Kind of moving forward was getting all that together. Was like I kind of can't go back now. Like we got there's too much substance now.
Well, yeah, and also like I really felt like I'd gone as far as I could go to the corner of like the Spose box that is confident lyrical rapper, and that was Good Luck with Your Life. That was as
Hmm.
far as I could go in that. These beats bang, these bars are really good. Like, the songs are big songs. I gave you everything you could possibly want out of a rap album from Spose, the character,
Hmm.
and so any further any further in that direction beyond that, I'd be lying to you.
Yeah.
I'd be essentially lying. Although Expose can lie, and that's one of the issues on the. I know there's obviously the Lie song, is like a joke we can make about it, but like, yeah, on the disc 2 of the album, Spose might be lying to you. Like, he doesn't have he's a rapper. Like, he's within
Yeah.
the parameters of rappers. So he just can, like, I can exaggerate, I can say things that are not true, and I say them so confidently that you probably think they are true,
Yeah.
and so, that's like a cool, little side effect of that. But you're right, after we made that Humans album, I did feel like, all right, I got new territories I can explore that nobody's been before. Essentially, I'm not ever trying to make shit that sounds like somebody else's shit.
Hmm. No, definitely. I never got that vibe. I remember a few years ago, there was a point you were doing like an IG live and somebody was giving you shit about your flow. Like, man, when are you gonna change that flow? And I'm sitting there like sitting back, like, what, dude? You're like the most tedious about changing your flow. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard it all. You could do anything though. Like, I could change the flow and be like, oh, sounds just like this, or
Hmm.
you can't buy into
Yeah.
that. But yeah, I mean, I've tried to continually. I just don't ever want to make something that comes out. They're like, oh, that sounds just like this other Spose song, or like, oh, just doing the same thing. So,
Hmm.
but I think that keeps me, because that's just not fun to make. It's not fun to
Yeah.
make another G Willikers, or not fun to make another, Lies Song 2, or I'm Awesome 2, or Greatest Shit Ever Still. It's like, even if you have a different name for them, those are not fun tasks. It's like, watch it, unless you really love that movie. I really
Yeah.
do like, some styles that I don't mind doing again.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great that there's certain versions of your songs that you've continued to sort of release and sort of add on, maybe pick apart yourself, even put new verses over. And I think that's good enough for, showing somebody like, okay, maybe I maybe this wasn't as good as I could have had it. Well, here you go. Here's 5 years later. Now we got a
Oh
full
yeah,
band on it.
I hate all my old shit. I can't listen to that shit. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think the version we make tomorrow of any of those songs would be better, in my
Yeah.
opinion. But like, but people really have and me, I'm the same way. I have a place in my heart with songs from my favorite artists that sound a certain way on records. So like, there's a certain amount of that too you want to cater to.
But what's cool too is a lot of things you do, a lot of things you talk about are just everyday things. Like, the comedian Mitch Hedberg, obviously the legend.
Sure do.
Mm.
R.I.P.
It's hard to look at certain things, at just everyday things, and not think of one of his jokes. It's kind of the same with your music. Like, you've just continued to touch on stuff for the last 11 years and pick apart everything that it's almost a Spose lyric, and my
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. Yeah, man, because, as I always tell people, I'm just us, so it's like my experience is
yeah.
just the same as yours. And if I can find something you relate to, that it probably is within my own sight. I don't need to look too far.
Yeah. That's how I'm always trying to turn people on to you. It's I'm like, dude, he's like every man's rapper. It's like it's just observing the obvious and the less obvious.
Yeah,
Um,
but in a way, stand-up comedy is a great parallel because it is that same observational skill, essentially. To be able to
mhm.
put it into words.
You ever fantasized about doing that?
Yep,
Really?
sure
I
have.
have I have two. It's nerve-wracking, just the fantasy.
I know. I have like 2 minutes.
Nice. That's all you need, dude. Get on Kill Tony.
Oh
Get
man,
yourself
yeah,
on Kill
yeah.
Tony.
So Cam's a big comedy head, so I've only ever seen Kill Tony at Cam's house.
Hmm.
But yeah, I know what it is.
Yeah, dude. Pull your hat from the bucket of destiny and just bomb. That's what you. That's the most humbling experience, I imagine.
Oh, I bet. But
But
I do kind of have this training of kind of being on stage, but it's never in like a hostile environment. I'm always in like people who paid to like me. So
mm,
like if I was at like Kill Tony where they by default want you to suck, kind of, you
yeah,
know.
they wouldn't know who you were until the interview. So yeah, that whole time you would be that whole minute is just you on a hook. So
Yeah, I got some jokes, but yeah, Cam's done it. Cam's done it. He's a big comedy head though. I don't. I feel like a fraud because
mm,
who can't who hasn't seen comedy. I mean, I watched. I'm trying to think. The last comedy show I went to was Aziz on. Sorry, I went to see Aziz after he got canceled, and
hmm.
he never addressed it, so it was really awkward the whole time. We're all
Yeah.
waiting for him to just like confront it head on, like you're a
Mhm.
comedian, like just say like, so I didn't rape that chick.
Yeah.
Raping's bad, but
Yeah, it
but
just didn't happen. There's just a
didn't
whole new
happen.
hour.
And so was the elephant in the room we never addressed. That was weird.
Mm.
But yeah, I watch Dave Chappelle and I watch Bill Burr or it's fucking Tom Segura or whatever. I've watched these dudes, and so I'm an imposter though. I don't. I have friends who are like legit stand-up comics, and it is a grueling life. That's why whenever they show like, what was that Adam Sandler movie about like
I think it was just funny people, right?
funny people? Yeah, yeah,
Or
they're
or
all serious.
comedians.
They're
Yeah.
all like serious and depressed. So
Yeah. I
yeah,
imagine
but
it's
yeah,
not. Yeah, I imagine that's not the blanket. But I also do. It seems the most probable, because there's a level of narcissism to that, like to think like, oh, this is so funny, I could sell this, as opposed to creating a song and having like the backing of the art. I feel like, um, but yeah, it would surprise me if you were also a stand-up nerd because you're like a nerd in so many other ways, like tennis, holy shit,
oh
and
man, today like
soccer.
yeah, today is a big tennis day for me, man. I literally like put a beer in the fridge this morning for tonight, for when all my day is said and done at 7 o'clock. The U.S. Open women's semifinal is happening, and I could not be more stoked because it's just the craziest storylines ever, converging tonight. So yeah, I think everybody only has so much time in the day, and their
Yeah,
nerdism, is confined to their time.
yeah, yeah. I know you love to read and stuff, but it's so hard for me to even fathom reading with kids now.
Hard.
Like just take it away. Like there's no way I could escape. I'd
I
be
read,
doing
I read when I go to bed. Basically, like I'll look on my phone until I like fall asleep and read like a book on my phone. I know you're not supposed to
Mhm.
like, look at your phone before bed, but
Ah,
I'll read like a book on there, or listen to an audiobook, or because
yeah,
yeah, it's fucking hard.
it is, dude.
When I'm like taking a shit, I can read.
Yeah,
Or
yeah. Do you do Audible? You ever use
have
Audible?
Audible, yeah,
Yeah, that's the only way I can consume, but I can consume it all day. You know,
nice,
I'll
yeah, yeah.
stay in that.
I always wish I could simultaneously take in content and make content.
Hmm.
Like I wish I could listen to music and separately make music at the same time, but it's kind of impossible.
Yeah, but you can paint a house and listen to a whole audiobook in a day.
Well, that's what Cam does.
Yeah.
Cam painted my house, and the whole time he's listening to his podcasts. He
Yeah.
runs through, Theo Vaughn, and like, runs through all the
YMH, I'm sure.
your
Le-
mom's house or
Oh
whatever.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, he's a mommy. That's cool, man. That
Mom,
makes me like him even more.
yeah, you'd love it. Cam's hard to hate. He's a fucking
Yeah,
lovable man.
it's a cool dude, man. Well, I have one more question for you,
Sure.
and it's a tough one, man. So you got a burning building, all right? It's a major recording studio, and in one studio you have the Smashing Pumpkins, and in the other studio you have Jay-Z and his entire family, dude.
So Beyonce's in the studio? Jesus Christ. Wow. Wait, is Billy Corgan's family in the Smashing Pumpkins studio? Like
For let's
his
just say they
daughter
are.
there?
No, let's say their families aren't there.
Okay,
Let's just
phew.
say just the respective
Jesus,
artists are
just like
there.
you know I care.
Yeah. What's your plan? I mean, who are you getting out, and how are you going to live with yourself? I'm just kidding.
Well,
I don't expect you to answer that
thankfully,
question.
not to be a politician who doesn't actually answer your question and gives you some other answer, but I feel like Jay-Z and the Smashing Pumpkins have both contributed enough to society and my life and their discography, um, that if they die in their 50s here, which is where they are, you know, so be it. I'll
Yeah.
be sad and will be unfortunate that they can't both make more music. But they've both done great stuff. If I had to bet on who still has a classic album in them, I'd say it's Jay-Z. However, I'm excited about the new Smashing Pumpkins project, so I would kind of want to make sure those happen too. Wow. So I guess. Oh, but here's how I'm not going to answer your question. If Kanye West was in a third studio in this same building, I would save Kanye West because he's the only one who's got like gigantic visions for things far outside of music, and regardless if he ever makes another good song again, could literally possibly has enough money and ideas to save the world. So I'd save Kanye West.
Dude, that's a great answer. He was in the building, actually. He was using the
Woo!
restroom. He
I'm glad
just
I checked
finished.
Studio C.
Yeah, like came out of the restroom. He recorded. He just finished up.
Whole Jesus album. He brought it
Yeah, and
out
he's like,
tonight.
later, Jay, later, Billy, and then he's like, flames, flames, and he is trapped between the wall, and then there you appear.
I swing in with my feet out and just kick out the wall.
Yeah.
Yay! Run! Run!
All right. Well, that's a great answer, man.
I can't think of a better place to end an interview than me screaming, run.
Yeah,
Thanks,
jump.
man. It's a great conversation. I appreciate it.
Yeah, dude. Thank you for giving me the time. I will stop bugging you now. I will stop leaving.
Why don't you bug me again in a year or two? Let's talk again.
Yeah. I'm always trying to catch like a wind of like, man, you got to have something coming out, And you're releasing singles through the pandemic, really great ones, really well needed ones, Parasite, Self Help. And then I was like, dude, you got to have at least a double album by now. And sure as shit.
Yeah, man. I mean, I've worked on it meticulously, man. I'm real proud of it. I'm real stoked on, and I think the other thing was like, I was really trying to set myself free, of like the constraints of like what a Spose song has to sound like, or like what I can make as music, like who I am as an artist. I just wanted to fucking break the walls down and
blow the lid off. Nice, dude.
And I think the way to do that is to push, because it's a box, and right down the middle's like, I don't know, Knocking on Wood or G Willikers or something, and in this corner's, Self-Help, and in this corner's like,
goddamn,
a Mountaintop, or, and it's like, I just want to blow the box open. It's like, I can make anything. So yeah, man, good timing. And I can't wait for you to hear the album and everybody who like cares to get to hear it.
Well, I'll get it. Yeah, thank you, dude, so much. I'll get it. I pre-ordered it, and it'll be bumping in my ride until it's unplayable.
I love it, man. I love it. Hey, much love to you and your family, man. Thanks for
you
having
too, brother. Take care, man.
Peace.
Peace.